You know, the worst nightmare for any dog owner isn't a medical bill or a chewed shoe. It's realizing there are people out there who are just evil. And that's the day my HOA president, Victoria Rhodes, decided to chemically assault my service dog, Shadow, right in front of two police officers. She did it over a single solitary bark. And when the cops treated it like a bad-tempered playground spat, I realized I was in a war for my dog's life and my home. I'm Liam Shaw, and after coming back from 20 years of service, I thought I'd earned the peace of Cypress Creek crossings. My Shadow, a big solid German Shepherd, is my rock. He's my trained service animal who catches the bad days before they catch me. He's not a pet, he's a piece of medical equipment, and the quiet rhythm of our suburban life was the treatment I needed. Victoria Rhodes, though, she was the self-appointed queen of this subdivision, a woman whose entire existence seemed dedicated to enforcing the tyranny of perfect topiary and regulating mailbox fonts. To her, Shadow was a flaw, a disruption to her flawless beige kingdom. It happened fast. We were on our usual morning loop when a diesel truck backfired, a sharp sudden crack that felt like a bomb blast in my skull. I froze up, locked down, and Shadow felt it instantly, letting out one professional sharp woof, his grounding alert telling me, "I'm here, boss, you're safe." Before I could even breathe again, Victoria was out of her house, pink gardening gloves and a visor, marching across her lawn like she owned the very air. "Mr. Shaw, that vicious animal, you have absolutely no control, constantly violating the noise ordinance." I tried to stay calm, I tried to de-escalate. "He's my service dog, Victoria." He was startled. "We're leaving now." But she was performing for the neighbors, and she saw the patrol car slowly cruising by. She flagged them down with an alarming high-pitched shriek. "Officers, thank goodness, this man's aggressive animal just lunged at me." My blood ran cold, a blatant calculated lie. The officers, who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else, clearly knew Victoria, but they still had to address the claim. As they were talking to me, trying to figure out if this was worth the paperwork, Victoria sidled up, and that's when she did it. She pulled a small can from her pocket, aimed it quickly, and sprayed a thick stinging mist directly into Shadow's face. He yelped, a sound of confusion and pure pain that tore through me. He stumbled, shaking his head, pawing frantically at his eyes. I dropped to my knees, my focus narrowing down to just his pain. The smell of cheap chemical mixed with perfume hit my nose. My internal rage, the kind you bottle up for years, just snapped. I stood up slowly, dangerously quiet, facing her. "What did you just do?" Victoria, smug, holding up the can, said. "I defended myself, it's harmless citronella spray." Officer Miller, looking genuinely concerned now, took the can. "Ma'am, interfering with a service animal is a potential federal offense. We have to log this as evidence." But they were bound by protocol. They told me to flush Shadow's eyes and that animal control had jurisdiction over animal incidents. They just wanted the scene to end. I took Shadow home, his big body still trembling, and started documenting everything. I knew Victoria wasn't done, and I was right. The very next morning, the white animal control van arrived. Officer Kim, clipboard in hand, wouldn't look me in the eye. "Mr. Shaw, we received a sworn report. Your dog Shadow bit a child yesterday morning." A lie so vicious it felt like a physical blow. "That's impossible, there was no child." Officer Kim just sighed. "Sir, procedure is procedure. A bite report involving a child requires mandatory 10-day quarantine at the county shelter. The shelter, concrete fear, constant noise, it would destroy Shadow's delicate training. It was a death sentence. I managed to negotiate a home quarantine, but the price was that ugly orange sign on my door, dangerous animal. Then the real horror. The complainant, Kim said, has filed for an emergency destruction order, citing the dog's alleged history of aggression. You have 24 hours to submit evidence that your dog is not a danger. 24 hours to prove a phantom child was never bitten. The HOA piled on instantly. I received a letter detailing $1,250 in fines and a formal threat of injunction and lien that could lead to foreclosure. This wasn't just a grudge, this was a coordinated attack to remove me and my dog from the community entirely. I tried the neighbors, the ones with the security cameras, but one by one they all gave me flimsy excuses, mumbling about HOA committees and the fear of fines. Victoria had the entire street paralyzed by petty tyranny. I was cornered, drowning in paperwork and despair. But then Shadow nudged my knee, our soft reset signal. He was doing his job, pulling me back. They had cornered the wrong person. I pulled out my phone and called the only man who could fight a war on this terrain, my old unit's tech guru Marcus. Marcus, they're trying to kill Shadow and take my house. I need you to hack the Cypress Creek HOA server. The debt was due. I had the blueprint for the conspiracy, but I couldn't use the emails directly, that would burn Marcus. I had to flip the witness and my target was Chloe. She was just a kid trying to pay rent, forced seconds into perjury, and I knew I had to offer her a lifeline, not another threat. I saw my chance when Chloe pulled up to Victoria's house for some guard. Visibly distressed on the phone, when her little Yorkie Peanut darted out the open gate straight toward the street. A landscaping truck was coming fast. Instantly, I vaulted my quarantine fence, pure combat instinct taking over, and I snatched Peanut up just as the truck screeched to a halt, the sound of tires ripping across asphalt like a punch to my gut. I handed the trembling dog back to a horrified Chloe. "Keep your gate closed," I said, already turning away as my adrenaline started to fade. "Wait," she cried, tears forming in her eyes. "Why would you do that after what I did?" I stopped. That was the crack I needed. "Because it wasn't Peanut's fault," I said, turning back slowly, my voice low and steady. "And maybe it wasn't yours either. I have the emails, Chloe. I know she threatened your job. I know this whole thing is a lie." Her denial collapsed instantly, replaced by exhaustion and relief, like someone finally pulled air back into her lungs. "What are you going to do?" she whispered. "I'm giving you a choice," I told her. "You can keep living in fear, signing off on death warrants for innocent dogs, or you can help me stop her. Not for me, but for yourself." She looked down at Peanut, then back at me. I wasn't a monster. That realization gave her an exit. She nodded. "Okay, what do we do?" The witness was ours. The plan was simple but dangerous. The HOA had scheduled an emergency safety meeting at 7 p.m., Victoria's public attempt to finalize everything against me, and we were about to turn it into her downfall. I called Marcus and told him Chloe was flipping and we needed a live stream ready. Marcus and Marty, my old ham radio ally who hated corruption as much as I did, set up a triple failover broadcast so nothing could be stopped or erased. At 7 p.m. I walked into the sterile clubhouse. Victoria sat at the front table, rigid, flanked by her two silent board members, ready to deliver her verdict. She spotted Marcus in the back recording and her eyes narrowed instant. She slammed the gavel and began her speech about dangerous animals and community safety. I stood up. "Excuse me, Victoria," I said calmly, "before you pass any sanctions, I'd like to know the identity of the child Shadow allegedly bit. Surely there's a police report, a hospital record, something official." The room shifted uncomfortably. Her story was already cracking. "The family wishes to remain anonymous due to fear of retaliation," she snapped. "Retaliation?" I repeated. "No, Victoria. I'm calling you a liar. And I have proof." I nodded toward the back. Chloe stood up trembling, but her voice carried across the room. "There was no child," she said. "There was no bite. Victoria Rhodes forced me to file a false report and threatened to fire me if I didn't. I've already submitted a notarized affidavit recanting everything to animal control and the district attorney." Victoria went pale instantly. "She's lying," she shouted. "Disgruntled employee." Then Marcus stood up casually. Just a quick announcement, he said. This entire meeting is being live streamed. We've got 700 viewers right now, including local news. Maybe you'd like to repeat your claims for them. The color drained from Victoria's face as she looked around the room and saw she had nowhere left to stand. She tried to leave, but the neighbors who had suffered under her control finally blocked her exit without saying a word. The trap was complete. The fallout was immediate. Animal Control dropped the case, the quarantine order vanished, and within a week the entire HOA board was recalled. In court it was over quickly. The judge voided every fine, awarded damages, and then looked directly at Victoria and said she was referring the case to the district attorney for malicious prosecution and abuse of authority. Victoria lost everything and disappeared under criminal investigation. Chloe got her life back and became a local whistleblower hero. And the community, finally free, renamed the park at the end of the block Shadows Park. Now I sit there sometimes with Shadow's head on my lap thinking about that 24-hour deadline, and how far a man will go when something he loves is threatened. Far enough to end it.